When I went to work for Sean Diddy, Puff Daddy, Brother Love Combs, whatever you may know him as, we had an opportunity to work on a brand called Ciroc Vodka that had been out for many years and it wasn't doing that well. At the time I actually was Sean's chief of staff, but I had a history in a little bit in spirits and definitely in negotiations from my defense days. And I said, listen, I would like to be a part of this conversation. I want to help you on the negotiation team to bring this deal for Ciroc Vodka. And once we got a deal in place, I went back and said I would love to be the person to run this business, essentially. I think initially, I don't know that I would call it daunting. It's the kind of thing where you don't know what you don't know. And we certainly have that very like Navy SEALs 24, we get it done by any means necessary. And I think both Puff and I are inspired by doing things that seem, that are incredibly audacious, right? But what we knew was that it was not impossible. And we knew that we could bring really a special sauce and an understanding of culture and an ability to galvanize our resources in the music industry and the fashion industry and the entertainment industry in the way you built an incredible brand. I've worked with a lot of creatives and a lot of artists, and I always say to them, like, great structure should give you the freedom to be creative. I think this industry has done it the right way. If you have a phenomenal idea and you have the hard work and the hustle, you actually can succeed more easily because of the structure. Your creativity can flourish because of the structure. It's just a real difference maker when you see what's happening with all these small brands emerging, what you see what's happening in the last few years. I mean, last year was the most successful year in the spirits industry in the history of spirits in this country. So it's working. Most, women and black and brown people, most difficult thing is getting the first $1 million. You lose like 90% of great founders because you can't even get the first $1 million, right, to get started. This gives us an opportunity to be like, okay, well, you can work with what you have. You can start where you are. You can start in the local state and you can capitalize on these existing relationships. And frankly, no matter what the business is, that one-to-one individual relationship in every single zip code is necessary for the long-term success of each individual business and the industry at large. We are now in 11 months in 26 states in the United States. There's no way that I would be able to do that singularly without enormous expense. And the truth is, that part of the business is really difficult, right? It requires an enormous amount of investment, it requires an enormous amount of hours, and it would be a detriment, I think, to the pipeline of new founders and fresh energy and great innovation if you always had the hurdle of building out the logistics of actually being able to be in every zip code across the United States. I think it would be a very different industry, and I actually feel like it would be a little bit of a disadvantage because you would not have all this like fresh, new, cool ideas, and we wouldn't be able to be sitting here today in Lobos' headquarters.